All right, folks, what's going on? Courtney Rollins from Life and Transitions Experts Podcast. I'm here with the great, awesome guy and friend, Javon Moore, who is one of the folks, is on the phone with me talking to folks who find themselves in distressed situations quite often or have distressed properties. And we try to help them come up with a simple, caring home solution. And so, Javon, what's going on?
Hey man, what's going on? How you been? How you been? How you been?
Feeling blessed, really good, really great, man. I know we're just talking online, but I got to get to that book that you shared, man. I got it sitting on my desk. When Rocks Cry.
Oh, when rocks cry out, yeah, that's an eye opener right there.
What's awesome about connecting with folks and doing this thing like a team sport is like finding people that like resonate with you, can push and challenge you, but also feel like you're part of your tribe, and that's a cool thing about you, man. Your depth of knowledge and understanding and thirst for knowledge when it comes to like just deeper meanings about life and ourselves is an awesome thing to be to witness and to be able to experience and benefit from. But today we're talking, and today we're talking about Devon makes a lot of calls and he sets up the calls so that I can, basically tend to them, take them down. But he's been making so many calls and that I might be in the way. So we're trying to figure out how can we streamline and empower Devon to basically make offers. And so if you don't mind, we're just gonna take about 10 minutes to look over different ways that we can make offers. So let me share my screen. Well, not necessarily make offers. We're going to take it back, folks. This is not necessarily sharing offers. This is how do you know what your offer price should be. So let's see if I go to my slideshow. I got a little slide up here. This one was titled "How to Find the Right Offer Price for Properties Using PropStream and or Zillow." All right. So now we're thinking, folks, this is economics 101. Nothing's worth anything unless someone's willing. It's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it, right? And so there's a several like formulas and rule of thumbs in real estate, and those are just those rules of thumb. Sometimes you take them on, sometimes you don't. So we're thinking about as a wholesaler, we're trying to catch that curve, that bell curve, whatever it is. That we don't want outliers. We don't want the strange properties that only a few people will buy, because that's not our audience. Our target audience is we're creating opportunities for investors. So we need the wide range. So those investors are usually going off of those cookie cutter 3-bed, 2-bath, 3-bed, 1-bath in Baltimore. And it depends on your market, but you're trying to find the traditional, the property that most people want to buy because that's larger buying pool for your contracts. And so a lot of folks are flippers or rehabbers. They're going to take a property, going to add value to it somehow, and then they're going to try to resell it for more property. And so usually for that, that's the standard, what people call 70% rule. Where'd it go? Oh, 70% rule. So the 70% rule is going to be when you take a property. I thought I had it listed up here. Oh, well, okay. So you take a property, you need to first find what other properties that are very similar to that property sell for all fixed up. And there are several ways to find that. If you are an agent already, you're awesome. You got access to the multiple listing service. If you aren't an agent, then you can really take the time to network with other agents and they can give you the comparable sales for it. Or you can use some of the tools that are out there, such as PropStream or Zillow. Now you're going to take that address. For instance, let's say we just take, actually, I don't want to even put an address up here because YouTube last time took my deal down or took my channel off or my video down because we put specific addresses in there. So when you try to say this general, I should have set up where it was, where I could show an example visually. But folks on the podcast, you're listening anyway, so we'll do the audio experience. So you find a property. Let's say you have a property at 100 Main Street. You look at all the other properties that are just like that. We're talking same bed, same baths, within about 250 square feet. So if it's 1,000 square feet, then you're checking all the ones that's 1,250 square feet above, or then 750 square feet below. So we're talking about, we're comparing apples to apples. That's very important. Comparing the same side. And also within most markets, it's within 0.5 miles. The market that we primarily focus on is Baltimore, Maryland. And since it's a more condensed area, it's 0.25 miles. If the more condensed the population is, the smaller your circle is going to be. Because again, we're trying to find comparables. So if there's a big intersection in a way, or properties on this neighborhood really sell differently because it's a different neighborhood, then you're going to have to know that. So you have to make sure you do it within 0.5 miles if it's a more general suburban area, and 0.25 miles for those smaller cities. And so you found the property that are like those, and you're seeing, oh, I see a lot of property selling for 200, 225, 230, 250. You're going to take the 5 properties that are selling, 5 numbers of the ones that look pretty fixed up, and take the average of that. So let's just say, for the purpose of numbers sake, we found this property at 100 Main Street. If it was all fixed up, it looks like it's selling for an average $200,000 of all the other fixed up ones that have sold. One other caveat: recently. It has to be within the last 6 months is the general rule. But between stuff like this market shift that we're having now, where interest rates and other factors have influenced prices being really different, you want to tighten that up too. So I've been doing, for the last several months, 3 months. So I don't go back 6 months, because last year's prices, I wish we still were getting them as of the date of this recording. Last summer's prices were awesome for sellers. They're not the same prices they're going for now. So we have to make sure that we tighten that up. So in general, it's 6 months at a normal, like, steady market. But because of this change, I would do 3 months. So already we got the property. We looked at the comparables in the last 3 months, the same type of property, and we see, oh, they're going for average about 200,000. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I said 70% rule, but markets are so different. There are some markets where people will buy in where you can do 80%. Let me explain what I'm saying. You're going to multiply that after repair value times a percentage. And the percentage I usually go with is 70. Even on this screen, if you're looking, I have 75%. And that was probably because I created this about 7 or 8 months ago, when the market was hot, where people were even willing to buy it, properties that were at about 80% of the market value. This is where this is coming from: the 80%, the 70%, 75, whatever you're going to do. And Javon, I would like for us to do 70%, just for you and me. And please jump in, brother, anytime you have a question, maybe a question other people have, or points of clarification.
All right, no problem. I'm sitting here taking notes and typing
awesome,
while you go.
Awesome. And so the reason this comes from is because, think about your end buyer. They're thinking about, okay, if I sell this property, I fix it up, I take on the risk, I do all the work, and I fix it up, and I'm going to be able to sell it for 200,000. Well, it doesn't mean they're going to just get 200,000. They still have to consider the rehab costs. They have to consider the closing costs. They have to consider the real estate commission. They have to consider how much it's going to cost them if it takes them a month or maybe 2 months to rehab, or whatever it is. How much is it going to cost to keep the lights on? How much is it going to cost for the permits? How much is it going to cost for, as I said, the utilities during that time? How much is if I have a loan on it, costs to pay the loan back each month? So those holding costs have to be considered. And usually those costs are about 20 to 30%. So if they can say 20 to 30% is going to cost them, when you add up the 9 to 6%, 6% for commission, 3% for closing costs, and the percentages for the rehab and holding, that's usually about 20, if it's real tight, to 30% if they're trying to be more conservative. And so that's why we put 30%, to deduct 30% of the ARV and multiply the after repair value by 70%. Now, let's say $200,000. We say, okay, we're going to take the good old 70%. It's 200,000, 70%, 200,000 is 140. I taught second grade, but I think that's what it is, because yep, 140. So we're at 140,000 that this person, if they didn't do any fixing up or do anything like that. But well, I actually kind of misspoke. So we're at 140 after the assignment plus their profit is what they generally would want to make. Okay, minus their, not assignment, excuse me, I'm talking over myself. Minus the closing costs plus the profit they want to make. Now we're at 140. Then you're going to subtract the rehab cost, the holding cost and rehab cost. So maybe it cost them, let's say it costs them 30K. They're going to put 30,000 in this property to get it, fixed nice and ready to go. So 140 minus 30,000 is 110,000. But then you have to know that you want to make an assignment fee. So if you're trying, the average in the nation right now is 15,000, but we're trying to go a little bit above because we're trying to serve high. We may be at 20,000 that we start off with, and so 20,000 minus 110,000 is 90,000. So 90,000 is where we want to, what we call our MAR, max allowable offer. And it kind of, maybe it's not the right word to use because max is, because remember, we have that 20K fee that we can play with. If we're going to reduce, when we're calculating and negotiating with folks, if we're going to reduce anything, we got to reduce our assignment fee. We can't reduce what the rehab cost is going to be, because we try to be real conservative with that, because we want to make sure we're thinking about our buyers and we're not taking money at risk, adding more risk to them or taking money out of their pocket. So for something like that, 20K times 70% minus 30K assignment, or minus 30K rehab minus 20K assignment is 90,000 max allowable offer. So I know I'm going to go to our investors or to our sellers, and I'm going to be thinking I don't want to go higher than 90K. So I may, hopefully they'll present the price they want and see where they want and see if I can get them to lower than 90K as quickly as, as efficiently as possible if it works for them. That's for flippers and rehab. So you'll go, you go to prop. I can show you offline, Javon, how you go use the prop stream, and I know you have the video for Zillow how to find the properties there. So that's the formula you're going to use for a flipping neighborhood. But like Baltimore, there are a lot of neighborhoods that are buyer neighborhoods, buy and hold neighborhoods. And for those buy and hold neighborhoods, and even for some of the flipping neighborhoods, properties that are priced less than 100,000, those are usually going to be rentals. Those aren't going to be properties that someone's going to fix up and try to rent it out to someone. Here's the reason why. Because banks, it costs the same amount of energy and time to loan somebody a $100,000 or a $75,000 loan as it does a $200,000, $500,000, $1 million loan. And the banks are going to make more money on a 1 million, on a 500, on 250 for the same work. And so that feeds into the reason why there aren't really many loans that are given out that are at a low 100K, 75K price point. And quite often, if I am a buyer, if I'm a buyer and I can only qualify to buy a house for 100K or 250K, 200K, that's because based on my financial situation. And quite often, if I can't afford to pay for a 100K house or a 200K house, then there's going to be challenges or hard times through the underwriting. And so some people have found too that sometimes these smaller deals to buy them, they fall apart quicker because there's not as much financial security for the person who's applying for it. And so that changes some of the factors of what we can hold on to. Another factor, Javon, that changes is that the investor is not thinking of a quick profit when they buy this. They're thinking, I'm holding on this for wealth, and they're probably wanting cash flow, monthly cash flow. So as long as the property can either cash flow for them, they're good to go, which means they can usually buy for a higher price. So, which means what we need to do is when we go to PropStream or we go to Zillow or we use the multiple listing service, we're going to put in that address. And we're still trying to check out comparable properties that are similar in structure and size and all. But we're trying to see, okay, what were the recent cash sales for a property in a similar condition? Simple as that. Oh, these properties I see are selling for $80,000 that are similar to this property that needs a little bit of work. They're selling for $80,000 cash in similar condition. Now, if you need to subtract the rehab from there, then okay, I'm gonna subtract what the rehab cost will be. And we can do a whole video on the rehab costs. That's why it's important for a lot of us to just get into as many properties as possible with contractors. And then you start to really see that, oh, this is what a rehab costs in Baltimore for full scale. This is what a mid-level rehab costs for most investors. And this is what a lipstick one costs. But regardless, you may need to subtract that so that you can know what the cost is. And then simple as that, then subtract out your assignment fee. So if I see a property and it's like a rental property, and oh, they're selling for cash over here for 80,000, and this thing only needs about 15,000. You just need to come in and turn it around. We're already at 65,000. And you want to put your, try to put your 20K assignment fee in there. That's 45. It may be challenging to, well, no, I didn't want to give it limited belief. So we're at 45K already that we know we want to be offering around 45K. And because we know we'll be able to put this out for like, less than 80 or less than 65 and sell it. So those are two main ways. I really like, regardless though, I think it's always helpful to just check the recent cash sales, whether it's a rehab or a flipper, because that shows you what people are buying in cash for properties that are similar to that. So, I got 4 or 5 investors or people buying cash properties like this. So I got a pretty good understanding of what it'll sell for in cash. Let me subtract out the rehab cost and my assignment fee. All right. Now there's other like rules of thumbs that we can go towards. Like one cool rule of thumb for buy and hold is the 2% rule or the 1% rule. And I'll just go over that briefly. So basically, the buy and hold investors, they want to just look at it quickly to see if this property will cash flow. They want the rent to be about 2% to 1%. 1%, and I've seen people even go as low as 0.8%. But if the property, let's say the purchase price is 100,000, then it would be sweet if the rental, if it was renting for 2,000, because that's 2% of the purchase price. They're probably going to cash flow. Some investors for the same 100,000, depending on the area, will take it for, will want the rents to be at least 1,000. And then some, again, depending on the area, will go as low as $800 a month. But usually they want it very close to the 2% so they can know that they're cash flowing. And that's a rule of thumb. Let's see. So that's really the things. And I'll save this so that you can take a look at this and have it for in perpetuity.
Yeah, I was going to ask you be able to send it to me into the chat so I can actually, take a look.
And this is some things to note. Like this is more going into negotiation, but this is like we're not trying to hide anything from our sellers. Sometimes, if I can explain it without sounding too wordy or nerdy or like I'm talking over them, because nobody wants to have that feeling, and a confused mind says no. But I will share and explain how I get to my numbers to my sellers so that they can understand. I also will use the range and say, hey, it looks like investors, if I see investors are buying for like 25, 35 over there, I'll say, of course, the 25 to anchor them at a lower price, hey, it looks like folks are buying for 25K over there. And either be quiet or say, ask them, hey, does that sound about what you were looking for, to see what they're asking for. Maybe they say, heck yeah, heck no, or whatever, but it's a way to continue with negotiation. If you ever do get touchy on the price, you can always pivot away from it and go to other aspects of the sale or other parts of the pain, or just continue to build rapport. Pivot to, okay, gotcha. So let's talk about the timeline again, or pivot to something else until you can come back to the price. But that's going into negotiations for the price and stuff. But all right. Ooh, we got a little note there. So I'm going, any thoughts or questions, Javon? I know you say you're taking notes, but any other ones?
No, not really. I know one thing I use besides PropStream and Zillow. Another thing I use is HomeSnap. Yeah, there's an app called HomeSnap that you can actually go on and be able to find comparables on as well.
Oh, very cool. I'm about to add that in there then. I'll put that in the show notes and all that good stuff. But yeah, if other than that, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording so we can put this out to the world. Hopefully you folks are finding this helpful and would love a comment, a like, a subscribe, or any feedback is very helpful to us. And really, other than that, y'all keep rocking, rolling, and rising tides, it lifts all sails.